I'm positive you were all riveted to last week's vlog about my toaster, but this week we're back to 50 Shades of Grey and we're on chapter 9. As we know, Christian Grey de-virginized Anastasia Steele, and this is the morning after. Light fills the room, coaxing me from deep sleep to wakefulness. I stretch and open my eyes. It's a beautiful May morning. Seattle at my feet. Wow, what a view. Beside me, Christian Grey is fast asleep. Wow, what a view. And then she finds the bathroom. I stare at myself in the gigantic mirror above the sinks. Do I look different? I feel different. I feel a little sore if I'm honest, and my muscles. Geez, it's like I've never done any exercise in my life. You don't do any exercise in your life, her subconscious has woken. She's staring at me with pursed lips, tapping her foot. So you've just slept with him, given him your virginity, a man who doesn't love you. In fact, he has very odd ideas about you, wants to make you some sort of kinky sex slave. Are you crazy? She's shouting at me. She doesn't seem too sane in this part. And then there's this really odd part where she puts her hair in pigtails. The more girly I look, perhaps the safer I'll be from Bluebeard. I take my iPod out of the bag and plug my headphones in. There's nothing like music to cook by. I slip it into the breast pocket of Christian's shirt, turn it up loud and start dancing. Holy hell, I'm hungry. It's just a weird part. I am daunted by his kitchen. It's so sleek and modern and none of the cupboards have handles. It's a very important fact, I'm sure. And I'm distracted by the memory of last night. His words, his body, his lovemaking. I close my eyes as my body hums at the recollection and my muscles contract deliciously deep into my belly. My subconscious scowls at me. Fucking, not lovemaking. She has a lot of tete-a-tetes with her subconscious for some strange reason. She talks about the stove, and then she talks about how she's a misfit, and then she wonders about the proposal from King Misfit himself, which is Christian Grey. Why is he this way? Nature or nurture? It's so alien to anything I know. And then when she turns around, Christian Grey is sitting there staring at her. Her knees are weak at the sight of him. And then she's gonna feed him. But first, in a moment, he's beside me. He gently pulls my pigtail. I love these, he whispers. They won't protect you. Bluebeard. How would you like your eggs, she says. Thoroughly whisked and beaten. Apparently, Christian Grey has a sense of humor. Just how sore are you, he asks as he sits down, his grey eyes dark. It's just such a romantic question. Then nothing really happens as they eat, except he mentions basic training, whether they should continue. And she's like, what sort of basic training did you have in mind, I ask. Well, as you're sore, I thought we could stick to oral skills. Well, that's a very nice man. She's sore, so she can just use her mouth. Come, let's have a bath. The water is enticingly hot. Anastasia, you're a very beautiful woman, the whole package. Don't hang your head like you're ashamed. You have nothing to be ashamed of, and it's a real joy to stand here and gaze at you. It's a real joy to stand here and gaze at you. Now, how old is he again? 24? Was that right? And of course her response is, oh my. And then he says, I want you to become well acquainted, on first name terms, if you will, with my favorite and most cherished part of my body. I'm very attached to this. He's talking about his cock. That was inside me. She lathers up her hands and she grips it. Then she puts it in her mouth. He's soft and hard at once, like steel encased in velvet, and surprisingly tasty, salty and smooth. She twirls her tongue, he flexes his hip, and then he lets out this gem. Anastasia, I'm going to come in your mouth. And he does. Have you ever done that before? No? Good. Yet another first, Miss Steele. Well, you get an A in oral skills. Come, let's go to bed. I owe you an orgasm. In his bedroom, he stares down at me as we stand by his bed. Trust me, he asks suddenly. I nod wide-eyed with a sudden realization that I do trust him. Why? We will never know. He ties her hands together. His eyes burn into mine and I'm breathless from their intensity. This is not a man I want to cross, ever. That's it. Fear. Fear's a good way to build a relationship. I'm gonna kiss you all over. And then he does. All over. After they've both come, obviously. See how good we are together, he murmurs. If you give yourself to me, it will be so much better. Trust me, Anastasia, I can take you places you don't even know exist. I am still reeling from my extraordinary physical reaction to him, and I gaze up at him blankly, grasping for a coherent thought. Suddenly we both become aware of the voices in the hall outside his bedroom. It takes a moment to process what I can hear. But if he's still in bed, then he must be ill. He's never in bed at this time, Christian. Never sleeps in. Mrs. Grey, please. Taylor, you cannot keep me from my son. Mrs. Grey, he's not alone. What do you mean he's not alone? He has someone with him. Oh, even I hear the disbelief in her voice. Christian blinks rapidly, staring down at me, wide-eyed with humored horror. Shit, it's my mother. And thus ends chapter 9, which I actually skimmed a lot of the sex parts, but I gave you the gist of it, and the gist of it is all you need to know. It was far too long for what it was. This whole book is far too long. It should be over by now. but I'm sure we're all still enjoying it, and I'll see you next week for Chapter 10 of 50 Shades of Grey.
General quarters, all hands man your battle stations, all hands man your battle stations.